Alright, I'm back for a little bit, but hope everyone's well. How we doing, everybody? Who's in here? Hello? Hello, hello, hello. I'll come in, hit the like button. Hope everyone's had a good day today. So I was talking about like what it takes to become a personal trainer and how people with crazy physiques will get that easily or more easily. I think the thing is when people lie about being natural and stuff, and people were saying that fake natties are good for fitness, but it's just when people lie and then they do that to try and sell the program, and then it just ends up inflating things. It inflates people's perceptions of fitness, of like, oh, this person looks like they have a dad bod or something, and they're like, even though they're not even fat or anything, they're just, maybe they're on a bit of a bulk or something, and like, it's just, things have gotten crazy. It's like, I mean, fitness industries and the community has just gotten a joke, you know? It's lost all meaning. Like, fitness has lost all meaning. It's all about aesthetics. You know, it's all about bodybuilding. Everything has to be hyper optimized just for like bodybuilding without any regard for any other aspects of fitness. Because if you only have that dialed in, then can you really call yourself really fit? Let's say you were 8 when it comes to like bodybuilding and doing things that way and with certain rep ranges and whatever, and but you were like a 3 across the board, everything else, you know? Like, you have no mobility, you have no like, you just don't have a lot of endurance, you don't have a lot of like speed or anything like that, you know? Like, thank you for the like, whoever that is. So could you really call yourself truly fit if you're just not very good across the board? Because to me, it's about being, you know, if you could be, say, like a 7 across the board, that would be cool. Like, where, you know, if you're above average at everything, you know, you're above average at, you know, running at this decent pace. You run it, you can, you have got good power, like good jump height, things like that. You've got good strength, endurance. You've got good. It's not just about being strong and like in absolute strength, but let's say you do like, you know, as carries and stuff, and you can like hold the weights a good amount of distance. Whereas you get somebody who is this big bodybuilder, but then he might, you know, struggle to keep hold of it for too long because he hasn't built up that endurance. He hasn't improved his grip endurance. Yeah, he might be able to grip some really heavy stuff for like a few seconds. Okay, great, but like, can you actually hold on to these heavy dumbbells for like a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes or so? So it's like, because in a functional sense, like where things that would apply to real life, like, are you actually fit? Are you actually fit to carry out all these different tasks? Or would you just gas out quickly? Would you struggle with it? Like if say you was, I don't know, chopping trees down all day, for example, and some people would probably just end up getting quite tired because they're just not used to having to do that level of stamina and whatever having to like carry around furniture all day, things like that. Or like having to lay bricks all day or something. I don't know. These are things that if you can't even keep up that sort of stuff all day, can you really call yourself fit? Oh wow, you can lift heavy dumbbells for a few reps. You can whatever. And oftentimes they do most of their stuff on machines as well, which that's just even less functional because I do some machine stuff sometimes, but if all you do is a bunch of machines and, without much else, then to me, that's not really fitness at all, is it? Because these machines are not even functional as in like in real life scenarios. Yeah. I've chopped wood all day before. Very few people can do that. Yeah, there's certain like endurance tasks that will test your fitness. It's like, people go through the army. That will test people, like if someone can like have 100 pounds on their back and walk with that all day, you know, that is stuff that to me is fitness. Like that is, like that is what fitness is. If you can maintain that all day. I've done times where I've walked around all day and just like barely stopped at all. I remember I walked around all day and then like after I did that, I then had to like help. I went to some session, we ran for a bit, and then we like went and I helped them to carry a log. It was a big, massive log. I helped them carry that. So I was able to do all that, and it's like I barely stopped walking all day. It was like, and then I went to this session where I did like a bit of running and then like doing some physical work. So, I was fucking shattered after all that, but I managed to do it. It's most people can even do half of that. But yeah, just my point is that like fitness has become this like one-sided thing that isn't even what fitness is supposed to be about. I think it's just good to be able to be someone who can, basically be primed for whatever life throws at you, because you never know what you might be needed for, right? So I think it's good to be able to have a certain base of cardiovascular fitness and things like that. What if ever you needed to like run a certain distance? Like, let's say, I don't know, if something happens, you need to go and rescue somebody. I don't know. It's just, I think it's good to have a certain level of fitness across the board. Also, having mobility is meant to be good for like your health and preventing aches and pains and things like that, preventing injuries. They reckon that it's good for longevity, like having good mobility and flexibility and things like that. So I recently understood like the difference between mobility and flexibility. So flexibility has to do with like, they're both kind of like stretching in a sense, but like, but it's like what you do is say like you just kind of like you would hold a certain position, you would, you say you're stretching your leg or whatever, and doing whatever, but with mobility, it's about being able to like do it in a way that's kind of more. I don't want to keep using the word functional, but it's like you're like doing these like dynamic movements and stuff like that, and it's like holding a static stretch, it can be good, but it's like, yeah. So basically, let's see what it says again, but yeah, about mobility and flexibility. Just to kind of like, just to clarify again, but basically, it's about controlling the movement through the range of motion. So yeah, it's about more of dynamic, basically, is what I'm saying. So I was right. It's like let's say you're doing like a pistol squat, for example, and it requires, like say you're having to, it requires a lot of hip mobility to basically extend the leg out. Well, both legs actually, but that requires flexibility in a sense. You could say like that static hold basically in that position, but you're also having that kind of dynamic movement through a full range of motion. But it's good to try and kind of open up, like, so you can move, like increase your range of motion, and like some people might even struggle with things like Cossack squats, for example, because they just don't have that like adductor, whatever, or abductors, whichever one, that they don't have around their thighs, they don't have that kind of opened up. Yeah. I mean, I understand mobility has to do with more kind of dynamic movements and being able to control movement through a full range of motion. Whereas like flexibility has to do with just like the potential of like how how more value joints are, basically. But it's like, it's flexibility is like one component of like mobility, you could say. Like, it's like with mobility, it's kind of being able to control it with, like, for example, doing things such as controlled eccentrics and things like that, and being able to to consciously be able to just control the movement instead of, for example, just dropping into it and just having sloppy reps and stuff, and you would be able to like kind of control that movement, if you get me. It all gets a bit confusing, but we're talking about the passive ability of soft tissues to stretch to their full length. So, for example, I could like, I could sort of like, lift my arm out or whatever, and that's, kind of stretched out or whatever, but it's like I could use my other arm to keep it up, but it's like if I can do that without any sort of assistance from my other body parts or something, then like then that would be considered more mobile, I guess. You're able to move your you're able to move it freely. You're able to do it without any like, you know what I mean? Being mobile is what you can do. Stretching is like a different workout, right? Stretching is like doing these kind of like, usually do static holds and stuff like that. Like just doing a bunch of like, you know, when you see them doing things like this, like where they'll do like kind of, you know, sort of just stretching it out, but which can be good and stuff, but mobility is like something that you can build up to and over time with like just practice. And some people can't even deep squat, you know. But it's about you being able to fluidly move through that range of motion and be able to control it, control how your body, like controlling form and things like that. And because otherwise, you know, you could just do a bunch of sloppy reps that you're not having any control over. But try and get into like, you know, let's say deep squats, because a lot of people can't even do that, you know. What percentage of people can't even, let's see, because apparently in the West it's quite actually common that they can't. What percentage of Westerners can deep squat? They call it the Asian squat, like deep squatting. It says here, right, get this. There's no single definitive percentage for Westerners who can deep squat, but sources suggest a low number, with some estimates indicating that less than 5% of Western men and about 13.5% of North Americans in general can deep squat comfortably. This difficulty is linked to sedentary lifestyles, cultural differences like chair sitting, and the loss of ankle and hip mobility with age in Western societies. Hello, CC. I was talking about you earlier with wondering what's going on, because I've not seen you for a couple of days. But yeah, that would be an easy way for somebody to hurt themselves lifting heavy and not being mobile. Yeah, because it's like, if you don't have the mobility, then you could end up fucking yourself up, because if you don't have the support in like joints and stuff like that, then, you know, usually what happens is injuries would happen in your weakest link. You know, you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? Something's gonna give, right, if you don't address it, you know. Like if, say, you're trying to, you know, like bend down a lot, and then if you don't have the hip mobility, then you could end up messing yourself up or something, and you're putting yourself into a really awkward position. And so we have to make sure that we can do things properly, so that we're not, like, a lot of people get lower back problems, people get sciatica and whatever, and because they just don't do things properly. They're not training to be able to move their body in a certain way and be able to perform that movement with good form, and, you know, to get their muscles to, you know, get their body into a certain position that is safe for that movement. So I was talking earlier about rounding the lower back, which is something that I've done before, and it's probably something I need to avoid in the future. But that's something that we have to be careful for, because it's something that they do teach with, say, like manual lift. I remember that there was something that they were talking about, like the technique, because like when I was doing something at college and they were like showing how to like lift these heavy things, and like, because to not put your back out, because you're lower back's one of the most problem areas of your body. Like, can easily, like, something can just snap. And that's just really like something that's avoidable with just good technique. Now, rounding of the upper back is not necessarily too problematic. In fact, some lifters would choose to have some rounding in the upper back it can actually help them lift more, actually. But yeah. But yeah, rounding the lower back is not ideal, is it? You want to make sure that your back is relatively straight, I would say. But yeah, because if you're getting a lot of rounding going on lower back, that's, your spine is quite like I said before, that some rounding of it's not the end of the world. But I think that we probably shouldn't really have rounding of the lower back. Like, it's not necessarily gonna do you very well. It's probably not gonna feel comfortable, and yeah. So I did feel like a while ago when I was trying to do deadlifts, and I was like, lower back felt a bit like there was some strain going on, and it wasn't like that bad or anything, but it felt like there were some nerves there that were kind of, yeah. Straight leg deadlift. And about stiff leg deadlift, well, that's kind of like what was probably going wrong with it, because I wasn't bending my legs enough doing it, then it would feel it more in my back. And that's not really what it's supposed to be. Yeah, you're gonna get some, like, like if your spinal erectors involved, but that's not meant to be like the main focus of it. It's meant to be more posterior chain in general, really, like your glutes, your hamstrings, your lower back to some degree, but it's meant to be more to support the movement, isn't it? The lower back and your spinal erectors, it's more supposed to be like more worked isometrically. I mean, there's basically it's like you got things like back extensions and stuff, where it's like that works the spinal erectors. To think of the word erector, it means it's what kind of erects your spine, but doing it while doing a deadlift might not be the best. It's like hamstrings and a good amount of lower back, yeah, but lower back shouldn't end up being what's the limiting factor, because that can then strain it, and it can become more prone to injury. So by sort of, yeah. So like I said, I was saying maybe doing sumo deadlift for certain people might be better, because of it turns it a little bit more into a squat type of movement, because it puts more emphasis on the legs. So it can, yeah, hello Claire, hope you well. Good to see you again. So as CC, are you still there? So doing it more like, I find I can straighten my back a bit more doing that. Like, do it like sumo style, So I might just keep doing that, really. Sumo deadlifts. I got a bit of a go at that. I didn't really do that well. I did 120 kilograms maximum. I actually held it for a few seconds though, so that's good. I didn't really feel like going any heavier than that, but today, yeah, I'm making some toasts. All right, fair enough. I think it's a risky movement. I know some powerlifters like that movement, usually the ones that haven't got hurt. Right, yeah. You just have to be careful not to get hurt, really. But some people would use like a sort of belt, because they say that helps to keep your back straight. So that could be a thing to try out, actually, possibly in the future. Like sometimes they do it for squats as well, to wear one of those belts to kind of, yeah, because otherwise you can find that you're just, yeah, they say it helps with bracing, helps to kind of get your core involved, keep everything straight. So I don't know, but yeah, what you guys think? It stops you from excessively rounding, I think, but then some people say that you shouldn't be relying on the belt, but I don't know. And there's also like trap bar deadlifts as well, where it reduces the range of motion. That might be something I need to try as well at some point. It's just gonna mean I don't have to like bend my back as much to. Yeah, I know one buddy that bends all the way over, focuses on the lower back. Yeah. Well, I saw like with Hathor Bjornsson, and he was bending right over, and I don't know how he managed to like do it because he's really tall, and it comes quite high up on him, so I don't know how he managed to like lift like that much weight, like, because the guy is massive. He's like, I think he's about 6'8" or something, and it comes quite high up on him. 'Cause taller people are generally the deadlift comes quite high up on them, if you've noticed. I understand his logic. If you don't get hurt, it gets stronger. But man, I think it's risky. Yeah, yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah, it was. I was just then. Oh yeah, I think I'd finished the live, and I just didn't properly finish it. If you know what I mean, I just kind of. But yeah. So. Yeah, we're all right tonight. Anyway, I got another member, so yeah, things have been going all right. I did busking yesterday, and yeah, just been trying to just focus on the things that are within my control, really. And yeah, there's no point in dwelling over things that are out of our control, really. At the end of the day. But yeah, it's just important that we don't like mess up form, because so many people get unnecessary injuries and stuff. They're just kind of not really sort of thinking about they're not really thinking about like, like doing things the right way, and then they get themselves hurt, and then that can really set you back, can't it? If you're having to deal with an injury that takes months to recover from, there's people that get multiple injuries and then they end up suffering, That's the thing with like the ego lifting, it's like doing all this ego lifting, then you end up setting yourself back more doing that, end up becoming weaker as a result, because whilst you're injured, and then you can't train, and then back to square one again. Well, maybe not square one, but you're slowing things down doing that. So doing the things the proper way can definitely be better. So that's something I've been focusing more on, like even things like push-ups, making sure I'm not arching my back doing that, and making sure my core is engaged. Because to do a proper push-up, you want to make sure that your spine is all straight. Otherwise, that's putting pressure on your lower back, and then the problem is that if you have that, then your lower back might even give out before you're, before before the chest. So yeah, I just saw that one. Yeah, I saw that channel last night, I think. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that channel because I've been seeing a few channels lately. There was another one that I saw yesterday. Can't remember its name, but yeah, I've been seeing a lot of channels. Like I've seen Jesse Pollack and Men of Action as well. But yeah, there's some like quite motivational kind of channels, really. Like Men of Action is absolutely like a beast. And then you've also got Pulsing Iron as well. He's just another one of those as well who just really like intense and really like high endurance as well. It's just a lot of just reps and stuff, Like they'll do fucking like, 200 5-pump burpees and shit like that, It's just crazy stuff. I've never been able to do that many, but yeah. He showed his transformation last night. The man has put on some muscle this year, yeah. Yeah, that's cool, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there was another channel that I watched sometimes. Well, I used to watch, but so he was showing his transformation as well. Someone called TP Locks. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's pretty big on YouTube. He does a lot of like weights and stuff, but it doesn't look like his videos are really getting that many views now, though. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. Sometimes a channel will have like hundreds of thousands of subs, but then you look at their views and you're like, Because there was another like fitness channel that I watch sometimes called the Red Delta Project, and he's got like fucking. Let's see the subs that he's got, right? He does a lot of stuff on like calisthenics and stuff like that, like suspension training and things. He's got 159,000 subs, right? But his videos, right? Let's see. Last video, 549 views, 2.5k views, 769 views, and 767 views at 2.3k views. So on average, maybe like 1 to 2,000 views or so, something like that. But relatively speaking, for like that many, it's not for 159,000 subs, right? Maybe he's getting like 1% of his like subs actually really like tuned into him, really. So yeah, hi Richard, how you doing? Probably be getting off here soon, but yeah, that Emily's gone. I know you said that you were a bit kind of oh god. But yeah, like I said, subs don't always mean success, really. I suppose sometimes they can. Well, I think she said she had to like, what was it? I can't remember. I think. Oh no, she had to go to bed because she's going to work tomorrow or something. But yeah, so I don't know, whatever. I see this thing. The number one fitness killer, alcohol. Yeah, alcohol is bad for what? Emily. Yeah, Emily's watching on here, so yeah. Anyway, well, I don't know if she's. What do you mean? I do the deep squats. It stretches every part of the body. Yeah, it's just talking about like how so many people can't even do that. They can't go ass to grass, which is a shame. Like people are just kind of lifestyles are just not really conducive for it. If you, it's like things that people are losing their abilities to do. Maybe it'll get to a point where hardly anyone can do it. In the West especially. Hello, Shay Upton. Oh, really? Thank you. Okay. Hit the like button, everybody. So I was saying about alcohol, right? So alcohol, well, it's going to elevate cortisol. Right, Ali, welcome back. So when cortisol is spiked, then it's going to decrease testosterone, decrease recovery. It's going to, yeah, it's not good. If you're stuck or hold on to something to take on your body weight, yeah, but the thing is that also if you don't have the mobility to do it and you don't have the flexibility to do it, then not even have the sim up. What do you mean? So I would just go as deep as you can. Don't force it, basically. So because some people might just not be able to comfortably hold that, and they just might find that they just need to kind of slowly build up to it. Try maybe going parallel and see if you can't even go there, just go about, halfway down to parallel and then just try and just keep going a little bit lower, see, what you're comfortable with and then just build it up slowly. So then your muscles can stretch more and through the full range of motion. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, if you can't even, some people can't even hold like that or anything, even if they say held on to something, the muscles just can't stretch that far. It's like, for example, you've got a test where like, touch your toes without bending your legs. But at first, you could say like you're allowed to bend a little bit, and then over time, the amount that you bend them gets less and less to a point where there's no bend at all. So it's about just slowly like building it up, finding where you're at, and then just kind of going from there. You should never allow yourself to get like that. Mobility is everything. Yeah, it's true, but there are people out there. And it said something that very few percentage of people can deep squat comfortably. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, use it or lose it. Yeah. That's the thing is that especially as people get older and their muscles start to atrophy and what have you. But it's a shame, isn't it? That it's like it gets to a point where a lot of people couldn't even get out their seat without having to like if you have to let's say I can get out my seat without having to like if I can't get out my seat without sort of having to use my arm to push me off, we'll see people doing this, trying to do that. It's like if you're having to do that, then there's something wrong. Either you're too fat or you're or you have some issues with weaknesses or whatever. So because you should be able to just get out your seat without having to use your arm or whatever to push you off or something. Yeah. So that's one test as well, is if can you get out. As another test I would say, when this is more of a balancing kind of test, is try putting your shoe on without basically what you do, lift your leg up, put your shoe on, and then tie your shoelaces whilst you keep your leg up and just try and do that. A lot of people, especially as they get older, can't do that. Even just walking is enough to stay mobile. Yeah. The only thing is walking's not gonna put your muscles through a full range of motion. So walking, I would say, is not really enough, and it's a good starting point, but yeah, it's not complete, is what I'm saying. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But yeah, just but we have to have things that to try and like stretch out and what have you. Because I was trying to practice this thing where it's kind of like a bridge, or whatever, or an arch. I don't know what it's called, but it's a cool thing if you can do it. But I have to do it on my bed. So I'm not quite there yet, but it's like. But what I do is sort of is this thing. So you like go. So just it's like. Like that sort of thing, yeah. It's requires a lot of mobility. It's you're gonna bending the back, the legs. It's everything getting bent up. So that one's a good test as well if you can do that. So is that what it's called? A crab. It's just like a kind of. But it's yeah. So that one. I don't know if you could try that one, Richard, but see if you can do it. It's almost like a headstand, actually, but you're kind of like bending your body up and yeah. But yeah, so, I mean, walking is good and whatever. I mean, like, it's more than what a lot of people are doing anyway. A lot of people just get to a certain age and, but oh well, I'm old now. That's just kind of like, maybe I should just take it slow. This is these self-fulfilling prophecies. Oh well, there's no point getting into fitness now. I'm getting old. I'm too old for that. Well, you try it. All right, cool. I don't think I can do it from the floor because it's harder. But you could progress by going lower and lower. But hang on. Oh, how was it again? I can kind of. I think. I'll try and show it from the side or something like that. See what it looks like. Hang on, where's it again? Does that look all right? I can't see it, But it's like first time I've tried doing that from the floor, so I've been practicing on like mobility exercises. So I was doing this thing on the parallel bars and just kind of doing like this kind of inversion thing. Yeah, it's a good stretch. Stretches your back out and your so it's called a crab. So I never knew the name for it, but I've seen people online do it and stuff. I'm guessing they do it a lot on yoga and stuff. You have to have arms straight, proper, push yourself up. Yeah, that's the trouble, isn't it? It's not easy, is it? But yeah. any better or something, or worse. I don't know, but it's easy. Like I say, it's easier if you're like elevated on something. I find if your feet are elevated on something. Hello, Alundra. Right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. How you doing, Alundra? Good to see you again. You can't do it, oh really? Well, you know, if you train, then maybe one day. Yeah. I'll have a look, see what it's supposed to look like, and then see what mine looks like. Hang on. Pulled 10 muscles on a. That's not good, is it? Oh, the crab pulls, that's different. That's different from what I was doing. That is like a kind of. That's just like. Hang on. Yeah. That what I was doing was different to what you were saying then. Because what I was doing is where you have your head on the floor and then that is, yeah. From what I see, I don't know, maybe that's different. Maybe that's just, hang on a sec. Wait, might be wrong. Hang on a sec. Let's have a look. All right. Right, so. So like crab pulls or something. They call it the bridge as well. That's what I was on about, the bridge or something. But that's. Well, it seems like with like straight arms, but it's very challenging. Like, I might try it one more time or something, but. Yeah. I don't know. It's fuck. Well, you have to head like off or something and like try it on the ride or something, but. No, I don't know, guys. I just have to kind of make it a bit easier because it's hard for tall people, yeah. Just because it's like you're having to kind of a lot of these like body weight exercises and stuff. It takes a lot more strength to be able to do it. So it doesn't mean you're weak if you can't do it, because it's like if say you're
tall guy trying to do pull-ups, for example, you're limited by your long limbs and stuff, you know. And then if you've got, say, like like the bridge or whatever, then you're limited again by your long limbs because all your weight's having to be supported with these long limbs, and it's not going to be easy, is it? So it's about kind of just maybe just kind of like having to kind of dial it back a bit. It's like, for example, you get these short people who are going to find it a lot easier doing things like, front levers, back levers, stuff like that, but taller people are going to find these things harder because it all has to do with gravity and how, long limbs. It's like even things like L-sits are harder for taller people because it has to do with like the center of gravity and all that kind of stuff, and how long limbs are more likely to bend downwards and, trying to fight to keep all that weight up. So, it's just, we can't be comparing ourselves to other people. And then you get some kind of like snobby people out there who are like, oh, if you can't do more than a certain number of pull-ups, or if you can't do such and such, then you're weak or whatever. But it's like, it's easy for you to say that because you have the leverages for it, Yeah, it can be worked on. It's just I'm saying that certain people might have, certain problems and what have you, that they have to try and overcome it. It's going to be harder. So, but yeah. Well, like I said, the flexibility is different because, like, in order to do a bridge, it takes a lot of mobility because it's about being able to because there's an element of strength in there as well, because you're having to kind of hold your body in a certain position that it's like, yeah, you could have a lot of flexibility and say like all your muscles, but it's all about being able to kind of put that all together into something that with your body weight, like if you say you're doing a bridge or something, then that's going to require a lot of strength as well to keep you in that position. Yeah, but you can always reverse that, Haley. It's like, if you start doing some yoga or whatever, start stretching out and maybe do some like, do some of this kind of stuff, like maybe start working towards the splits there. Stuff like that. It's just, for that, guys, it's like, yeah. Yeah. But, maybe one day I can get the splits there. But it would just be about kind of practicing it, and then, they start to open up more. But with mobility, it's more than just being able to flex your muscles in a certain way. It's about doing them in a way that's functional, I guess you could say, in terms of about being able to move your body through a full range of motion and fluidly. Being able to do things that involve, like, for example, you could, let's say things like doing lunges, like, things like that. You're stretching your muscles, doing things like that, but if you don't have the strength to be able to come back up, then you're not very mobile then, are you? You have to be able to move through that range of motion fluidly. Otherwise, you're flexible, but like you would be lacking the mobility sort of thing. You get me? It's like, for example, like I say, if you can hold the bottom of a pistol squat, but then you can't move through that range of motion, you can't control that movement, then you're not mobile, basically. So yeah, so how I understand it is yeah, flexibility is just about how much you can stretch your muscles. But that's great and all, but I think that just doing that is not enough. Yeah, I'd love to be able to learn the bridge. That'd be pretty cool if I could do it properly. So I'm probably going to get going, guys. Yeah. Pistol squat is so like a one-leg squat. You put one leg out. It's because it kind of looks like a gun. So they call it that, like a pistol. It's like you have one leg pointed outwards, and then you pretty much just like lifting up your body weight with just like one leg. So it isolates one leg each time. So it improves strength so that you can basically, and it also can improve balance and stability with because you're doing it only on one leg, so it's unilateral, and it requires a lot more of the stabilizer muscles like in your core. So it can be good for that. Same with things like single leg calf raises and stuff. Yeah, like pistol squat, like, let's see. But we'll try and give it a go. Yeah, so this is what I mean. So one leg out and then like that kind of thing, yeah. Yeah, so like that kind of thing. Try and put your arms out for a bit of balance, but yeah. Oh. So those are like, yeah, so that's pistol squats. But I usually would like hold something, because if my focus get them stronger, then I'm going to be able to like have a lot more control and more balance by holding onto something. Helps to keep it more stable, but it can be good to learn to be able to do a few regular pistol squats just to kind of be more functional and be more mobile, and just be able to kind of do that unassisted. Oh yeah, thank you, Apex YT. Yeah, but yeah, that's just like, yeah, the pistol squats. But if you're struggling with that, then so you just start with things like lunges and things like what is it? Things such as Bulgarian split squats, and also things like Cossack squats. So some things are more unilateral focus, as in focusing on one side at a time. That way you can build up the strength to do the pistol squat. And then some people can even do things like dragon squats, which is just crazy if you can do that. Then that requires a lot of, it's quite a complicated movement, like it requires a lot of mobility and like different, like say it requires a lot of hip mobility and other things like just, yeah, it's quite an awkward movement to do, but one that I can't do yet properly. So it kind of combines like a pistol squat and the shrimp squat into one movement, and it's getting a very deep range of motion, and it's yeah, it's probably the most challenging squat out there. Yeah, dragon squat is very, very difficult. There's very few people that can actually do it. It's a very advanced movement. I'd say pistol squats are fairly advanced, but like, dragon squats are like next level. I'd actually say shrimp squats are more difficult than pistol squats, and it's even more difficult than that. So, because you're having to combine kind of like a pistol squat and like a shrimp squat into one movement, it's like, it's very awkward. But you just got to like kind of just kind of learn it. But it's just, it can take years. That could be like the ultimate like body weight leg exercise. I don't know if I've seen some crazy stuff. I saw a video called, I think it was calisthenics leg day exercises from like easiest to like hardest, where they were like almost impossible to do. So they had some kind of like quite sort of creative kind of exercises where they use certain equipment to aid with it. Like putting the legs into some kind of thing to like hold them in place. And yeah, so like, you know, they use it as a way to kind of, I'm guessing it could like, I don't know if it was to like increase range of motion or something like that, but I'd have to go back and watch the video again. But I just remember they were doing this, like, I think they were doing like some like squats or something like that inside this kind of, they put the legs inside this thing that hold them in place. I think they were sort of like, if I remember, they might have been sort of leaning backwards and then kind of like as a way to try and like increase the range of motion or something and make it more challenging or something. But anyway, I'll let you all get going. See you all next time. Bye.